This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so we have looked into the first three knowledge areas till now. Let's look into information about the fourth one, which is nothing but your strategy analysis. Okay, so before this, we had a small homework in the previous video. If you remember, I was asking what's the difference between verification and validation. I hope you have did at least a basic search of it and try to understand. If not, okay, let's try to understand with the same example of our food delivery app. Okay, so first of all, what's the difference? The difference is verification talks about a specific requirement which is given, and you're verifying if that has been implemented properly or not. Okay, whereas validation is like going a step above this and seeing if whatever requirement is implemented, is it really, helping the end user the way it is expected to help or not, or you're rather focusing on the business objective or the business goal, and validating if whatever has been implemented is really meeting the business objective or not. There'll be some confusing words out there you might have seen which tells that verification validation is like, developing the right product or developing the product right and all. That might look a little confusing, so I'm not getting there. Using an example, you can say for this verification, it could be that the food delivery app which is there, right? So let's say the login screen. Okay, the login screen, the requirement could be that there should be a field for the customer to enter the username, and there should be a field where the customer will enter the password and then clicks on submit. Okay, now this should work for customer to be able to log in into the application and start using the options provided. Now, verification in this example would imply, putting a checklist and saying yes, all these things work well. First checkbox could be, are all the fields available? Username, password, and submit button. Yes. Second checkbox could be that yes, if is the customer able to enter a username and enter a password, the right options, and then click on submit and go to the next screen. Third checkbox could be that okay, is it allowing customer to retry 3 times, or is it stopping at the first time itself? So what is happening here is all the checks that are being done are on whatever has been implemented and put in front of you. That is the verification process. Whereas validation is to look at it from the business perspective, from the end user's experience perspective. So in the same example, there is a login screen with username, password, and submit button. Now, if you look at it from business perspective, you would say that okay, as a user, I'm able to enter the username, password, and click on submit. But is this enough? How about a scenario wherein I don't remember my username or I don't remember my password? Then what should happen? Do you mean to say I cannot log in and I cannot use the application at all? Then, this is not serving my purpose. The purpose of login is to allow me to authenticate and go to the next screen, right? So is username and password the only way? Why not allow me to log in, with that button called login using Facebook or login using Google, login using Twitter, login using LinkedIn? Why can't I have such options? So what is happening right now is you're not sticking to what has been implemented, but rather taking a step back and looking at, is this really helping my end objective or not? If it is not, then what can really help me? And trying to get that information sorted out. So that is validation. Okay. Verification sticks to what is there, saying system requirements met or not met. That's it. Whereas validation is about looking at it from the business perspective and saying yes, it really adds value to the end user or not. Is it satisfying the intended use or not? Okay, so that's the difference. Now let's get into strategy analysis. Okay, now again here words like strategy seem like big words which we never use in our day-to-day language, and it looks like these are things which only are applied at a company level or organization level, only to be used by the CEOs in their speeches and all that. But frankly speaking, strategy can be at a very micro level. For example, if tomorrow you want to plan your day, that okay, I wake up at this time and I'm going to sleep at this time, what all should I achieve, or what all should I complete? What are the different tasks that I have to do tomorrow, right from the day at time I wake up till I sleep? If you chalk out a plan, if you mention that these are the things that I need to complete, that can be a strategy for your tomorrow's day spending, right? So that can also be called a strategy. Okay. Now, talking about our ITBA perspective. So here you are focusing on the requirements, right? Now, already by this point of time, you might have realized that a business analyst work is not just to blindly copy the requirements and then give it to developers and then say my work is done. By now, you might have already realized. So, this is all about giving you more information about how this requirements capturing, elicitation, development, and all really is playing such a crucial role, and how you contribute to the project. Okay, so strategy analysis, it starts with defining the business need. Means your first question could be, why would I define the business need? The stakeholders should have already defined the business need, right? Need not be. Specifically, when the client is not a well established client, then they might have business needs which are a little vague, and you need to really spend some time to define the needs. Uh, to give you an example again here, this is a very vague example again, of course, it doesn't happen this way, but just to give you an idea. Now, let's say there's a business which says that we want to increase the profits year on year. This is our business goal. Now, is that enough to say that I want to increase the profit? No, because there are different ways in which profit can be derived for a company, right? One way is you keep your cost the same for the product, but you increase the selling price. That is one way of increasing the profit. The other way is you keep your selling price the same, but you optimize your uh, cost and the internal processes so that you reduce your cost. So because of reduced cost, but still the same selling price, you are still getting profits, right? The third way can be that you're expanding to multiple regions. Maybe right now you're focusing on only one city, serving customers only in one city. Now you expand to 10 cities. So that increases your profits. Or it could be about coming up with a new innovative product or a service that can lead to profits. So there are different ways in which you can actually get profits, right? So it's not enough to say that I just want to get profits. You need to define how you need to get the profit, and then your requirements become more and more clear, right? So that is one thing. So defining the business need becomes important. The next step would be doing an assessment of the current state and defining the future state. Again, you're touching upon one of the initial points where we discussed about current state and future state. What is it called? The current state assessment is known as is scenario, whereas defining the future state is nothing but your to be scenario. Correct? So again, if you talk about our mobile app, food delivery app, if you talk about assessing the current state, it's all about looking at the current food delivery industry, understanding what are the existing challenges or opportunities, researching the market and competition, finding out what the customer preference is all about, what are the technical trends which can be used. All these will be part of your current state analysis. Defining future state is you understood the current state, you got the pain points, now you're focusing on how to resolve those. You're determining what your food delivery app can do to close all those pain points and provide a seamless food ordering experience to the customer with efficient delivery and customer satisfaction. Okay, that would be your future state. The next thing could be Whatever stakeholders have been identified, you focus on their concerns. Now again, different stakeholders can have different concerns. Again, taking an example here, the concern for a finance representative would be to reduce the cost that is going to be spent on launching this food delivery app, saying that I need to keep the cost of the entire project as much less as possible. Whereas your user experience division representation, that stakeholder may say, no, I want to give the best experience for the customer in using this app. That is when I get my customers sticking to my app. Your food delivery, your finance guy may have an objective of reducing the cost per acquisition. They call it a CPA. Right now we are spending 500 rupees to achieve one new customer. I want to reduce it to 200 rupees per customer, the expense. Now that could be there. So here what I'm saying is, different stakeholders have different concerns. Understanding their concerns and finding the common concern, and targeting that and getting it resolved, that is something which is required. Again, looking at what alternatives are there. If you remember, I was telling, mobile app need not be the only option. There could be an option of having a website also. If that is a cheaper option, better option, if it is agreed by the stakeholders, you don't put your opinion strongly in front of them. You provide them an option and let them take a decision. So they feel that okay, website is better, then okay, fine. You feel that, I get your approval on this, and we'll develop a website instead of a mobile app. So you provide an alternative, you recommend solutions, put pros and cons in front of them, and then let them take a decision. So that is also part of your strategy. And then aligning your value adds with their business strategy. The next step could be about the risk assessment, because no matter what you do in your work, even in your personal life and all, every step you take, there is a risk involved in it. And even if you're playing it very safe without taking any risk, even there is a risk that okay, you are not utilizing the high reward options which are available. So there is risk everywhere. So you need to do a proper risk assessment when you are working with the business team, and allow them to understand and then provide their inputs and work accordingly. Finally, how do you implement the plan? Having a rough sketch or understanding of it. So all of these things will be part of your strategy analysis. Though I have mentioned all of these things and given examples, uh, this is something which may not actually be done at all in the projects, because all of these things have been carefully handled, managed, and clearly sorted out by the business team itself even before coming to your team to get it implemented. So it reduces your efforts, but there could be chances that you can play this part and give this additional value add to the project. So this is the strategy analysis. We'll close this video here. We'll go into the next knowledge area in the next video. Okay, thanks everyone.